Today we're diving into one of the most exciting and fastest growing communities on Florida's Space Coast. I'm talking about Viera. We're joined by local expert Jeremy Stewart to explore what's happening now and what's coming next. From luxury neighborhoods to rumors of new attractions, Viera is buzzing with change. Whether you're already a resident or thinking about making the move, you'll want to hear what's coming and what's just around the corner. Hey Jeremy, how you doing?
Hey, good.
Jeremy, you're with the Carpenter Kessel Team at Compass, correct?
That is correct. Thanks for having me today, Joe.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. I really wanted you to come on because you do a lot in Viera. You're a Viera guy, as I would say.
Yeah. Well, I live there, so that's a big part of it. And then family's there, and most of what I sell's there, and all the content I produce is out there, really.
Yeah, and you put out a lot of Viera content, which is really cool to see.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's been more over the last couple of years. It's amazing how much stuff's gone out.
How long have you been selling in Viera?
I've been in real estate 5 years, hyper focused in Viera for the last 3 or 4.
Okay.
So most of the time, but really, really honed in on the last 3.
Yeah, it looks like you've spent a lot of time in Viera, really becoming an expert in that, and that's why we wanted to have you on today.
Thanks. Yeah, it's where I work, live, play, and honestly, it makes it an easy sell because it's easy to talk about.
Well, we're talking about Viera, and it is, let's see, Viera's been around. Gosh, when I moved here 18 years ago, it was starting to get, Viera West was kind of starting, Viera East had already been moving along. This was cow pasture 20, 30 years ago, right?
Oh yeah, sod farm, cow pasture. I moved here 24 years ago. When I moved here, the Marlins had spring training.
Yeah.
And there were county offices and the school board. That was it. That was it.
Good. And now we have, Viera East is built out. Viera West has been building up, and there's how many home sites if you had to?
There's about 15,000 homes currently.
Wow.
They are. I did this tour. They took a bunch of realtors out maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, and we're kind of giving us the new data numbers, and about 15,000 homes are done, and they're only about 50% there.
Wow.
So expect 30-ish thousand homes when it's all said and done. The population's about 41,000 people right now.
That's incredible.
And one of the wild stats, 986 businesses in Viera.
Is that so? That's incredible.
An astounding number.
That is. If you think about 41,000 people and 986 businesses servicing those people just in that area.
Yeah, and growing every day.
I looked at some info the other day, and as far as the new construction side of it, since 2011, we've done over 546 loans. That was mainly with Viera builders, but there's a lot of other builders. I mean, there's a couple other builders in Viera, but
they kind of own the market, but they delve out some of that. Del Webb's a Pulte community. Bridgewater was Lennar, and then you have the custom home communities that they've got like 4 builders for each.
And there's some incredible communities. But what do you think? What makes Viera such a desirable place to live? That's hard to say. What do you think makes Viera such a desirable place to live right now?
I think there's a host of factors. One, it's the convenience to everything. So if you think about it, you're about 40 minutes from Orlando Airport, so travel's really easy. You're still 15-ish minutes from the beach. You're an hour from downtown Orlando, so to go to see professional sports like a Orlando City or a Magic game, you can be over and back quick, and the parks are close.
That's true, yeah.
And 2 hours from Tampa, 2 hours from Jax, 2 hours from West Palm.
Very central.
Like dead in the middle of it, and it's growing so fast, it's shiny and new. So
that's true.
People like shiny and new things. We all know that. I do. My family does. So it really stands out.
Yeah, I mean, you have, like you said, the closeness to everything, but you're also, 30, 40 minutes to the Cape where there's a lot of new things going on. And, we've seen a lot of engineers that work at the Cape move to Viera. They choose to commute back and forth to Viera. We see a lot of pilots that work out of Orlando
because it's convenient,
but they didn't want to be right there.
And their families want to be close to the beach. The schools are fantastic,
right?
And that's where all the growth's happening. So
it is.
You have Viera Hospital just opened their birthing suites. They've actually got 2 100-bed towers.
Wow.
In works. They've already got the land for it. They're just deciding when they build those 2 towers. So you look at expansion, that was going to be originally like a joint replacement surgical thing, and they looked at the demographics and go,
this place is booming.
It's young families,
right?
Younger families for the most part.
Yeah, it is. You talked about shiny and new, all the new communities in there. There's a lot of different neighborhoods in there within Viera, and we kind of talked about this before the show, but there's a lot of different communities. It seems like there's something for everyone. Is that the case, or?
Absolutely. I think you mentioned that 18 years ago you saw it starting. Well, those homes are now 18 years old too.
Right.
The nice thing about that is there's some real value buys to go in and make a house your own. So if you like having a little bit, not a major project, but maybe a light facelift, and really you don't want the new construction. You feel like that's too tight and maybe doesn't work on your buying timeline. You can go in and fix a house up and have something spectacular and actually create value instantly.
Yeah.
And then, from a size standpoint, we've got everything from attached homes at 1,400 square feet up to homes that are 5,000 to 6,000 square feet in various neighborhoods. So really there is something for everybody out there.
So, I know there's new construction going on, but now there's resales going on as well, right?
Lots of resales.
So there's a vibrant resale market going there.
Yeah. Beginning of the month, we were looking at 250 homes for sale in West Viera. 193 of those were resale properties.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So we've actually seen an uptick in the new construction inventory. I think they've just come where they're speccing out more houses, but resales are still the bread and butter of what's out there.
You mentioned some of the attached homes, probably more of a starter home or maybe a finishing home, either beginner or later, or maybe in the middle, some smaller families. What type of price range do you see out in Viera?
For those attached homes, they're different sizes. So I'd say, you're in the mid 400s up to like 515, 520.
Okay.
You'll have an outlier property at 550 or 560, but for the most part, those mid fours to early 500 price point.
And they go up to?
Well, for those attached ones, if you go to single family custom, you can be $4 or $5 million now.
So we got the whole spectrum out there.
Yeah.
Cool.
Absolutely. So like I said, it's literally something for everybody.
And recently, it seems like recently, there seem to be a lot more amenities out there. Can you talk about maybe some of the top amenities or lifestyle perks people love once they move out there?
I think one of the two sleepiest things that I see in the community are Brevard Zoo.
Oh, I love the zoo.
It's literally like 3 to 5 minutes from my house. I live over in Strom Park in West Viera.
Oh, great neighborhood.
Yeah, I think so. But, the zoo's right there. It's growing every year. They do such a good job of adding new exhibits and features. And honestly, it's a great value for a family to buy an annual membership.
It is incredible, yeah.
And you're just a few minutes away. Attached to that, you have that linear trail that runs from the end of the zoo down into Lake Washington and back. And that's essentially a 10K down and back that you can walk or ride a bike on. No motorized vehicles. So it's a great opportunity for a family to get out and move. And then we go out and then we have the park out at the end of Wickham Road, the nature preserve area. That's always kind of getting refreshed and redone too. And I think we forget about that a lot of the time. Over at the avenues, you have splash pads. You have the Central Park area in between Pizza Gallery and 28 North and those restaurants. So I think there's a lot right there going on. You have the new lake around the Burroughs West development that's coming out and doing really well as well. So
yeah, they did a nice job with as a planned community. You mentioned the avenues. Just there's this beautiful shopping center, outdoor. What do they call that? An outdoor type shopping plaza.
Yeah.
The movie theaters, lots of restaurants, shops, all these things. How has real estate in Viera really changed over the last couple of years?
Well, I think the news has said it all. Things have they aren't flying off the shelves the way they used to. I think it's still a great time for people to buy and or sell. I think for buyers, you have a lot of inventory to look at. It gives you an opportunity to really sit down and dissect a house and make sure it's what you love before you buy. I think it's become a much more equitable situation between buyers and sellers. I think sellers
more
felt
balanced.
Yeah, I feel like the sellers were even feeling rushed in 2021 and the beginning of 2022. Sure. Oh my gosh, I've got 8 offers. I've got to pick one. How do I know which one's the right one? Now, when they get an offer, I feel like it just feels more stable. I know that's a weird thing to say.
They feel better about it. About the deal.
Yeah. I think sellers, if you have a great house, it really stands out in this crowd right now. You know, if you're in great condition, you've done all the updates, you're priced right, those houses still move very quickly.
You know, you talked about inventory, and back in 20 and 21, there was like 0 inventory, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, less than, it was like negative number.
Oh
right?
my gosh, it was terrible.
But now, you know, the inventory has risen, but we're still not at like an oversupply of inventory. We're like balanced supply.
Yeah, absolutely.
But there's choices.
Yeah, there is. Average days on market out in Viera right now is like 51.
That's still a pretty tight market, right?
Yeah. I think it's a very, like I said, it's a very equitable market for buyers and sellers.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, if you have a nice house that's priced well, it's going to go quickly. I mean, there's no thought about it. It's going to go fast. If it might need some work, it might take a little bit longer, but we're still not, outrageous. 51 days on the market is a nice balanced market.
It is.
So what, with that type of market, it does give buyers more options, which is good. They needed that because in the past we didn't have the options. But what advice do you have for buyers thinking about purchasing in Viera?
I think, there was an article in Wall Street Journal that talked about a lot of buyers coming off the fences this year. They've adjusted. Rates are the rates. You know this. You're in the lending business. They aren't changing drastically. If they do go down, 2 things are going to happen.
Right.
All those buyers that were waiting for them to go down are going to jump back in, and the prices are going to go back up. So I think if you can afford, if you're comfortable with how that picture looks right now, buy the house. There are some amazing opportunities out there to get a great house at a very fair price and not have to battle or give up inspections or give away things. And for the seller side, they may give a little bit, but they're going to get a great buyer. And the way I've seen it, I feel like more of their idea, what they would want as a buyer, comes into those opportunities as well.
Yeah, like you said, equitable, right?
Yeah.
It's not so on one side or the other that, the pendulum has swung in the sense I've been in Brevard County. It's swung from a complete, we're talking about 2006, changed in 2008, right, to 2013, 14, then it started to swing slowly back towards the other way. And then in 2020 and 2021, it was a seller's market, right?
So what we know, right? And pendulums never sit still.
No,
so we're in, honestly, a sweet spot right now.
We are in a very good spot.
Which people don't believe that, but, that pendulum swings one way or the other. It gets unbalanced one way or the other.
But there are ways. We've seen in this, the sellers might be a little bit more willing to work with a buyer on closing costs and, using those closing costs to buy down the rate permanently, right? I always say one of the fundamental principles of financing is always plan for the long term, right?
Yeah.
And so if you can buy down that rate, you never know if rates are going to go up or down or what they're going to do. So
not at all.
We've seen buyers use the seller's money, buy down the rate and get a comfortable rate, and get into a home they love because let's face it, they need a place to live, right?
Yeah. and that's what, going back to that Wall Street Journal article, that's what these buyers are saying is our families are grown, our jobs changed. We keep waiting for the bottom to fall out. Well, it's not.
It's not going to happen.
No, we've seen, if we look at the stats over the last year, we're really flat.
Yeah.
Flat. The prices aren't up, they're not down. Certain market segments, they're up or down, but overall, call it neutral.
Right. We've sat in this zone and people are waiting, and by waiting, they've probably lost money on rent and other things, or just not being happy. It's like you only live once. Right?
Yeah, well,
depending on your philosophy, I don't want to go there. But
No.
So what are some, I hear rumors all the time, and I know you're not going to be able to specifically address the rumors, but let's talk about some exciting things coming to Viera, whether they're fact or fiction or otherwise.
So I posted one on Friday. Trader Joe's is actually finally coming to Viera.
That's big news.
There was a permit filed for their interior building renovation. So that is fact. Right. So it's been rumor for, I don't know, we were talking about beforehand, 7-10 years.
7 or 10 years. I think Viera is the perfect home for it, quite frankly. I mean, the demographics are right there, and the area, and it has a terrible parking lot.
I think it's interesting timing too, because you do have Whole Foods coming in, and I feel like those two go hand in hand.
Right.
You know, if you think like just even the little Orlando base, you've got Trader Joe's at one end of Sand Lake and Whole Foods at the other.
Sure. Yep.
So geographically, it makes a lot of sense.
Yep. And then, it's kind of like when you have a Lowe's go in right across the street from a Home Depot, it actually, both of them get more business.
They do great. You've got Target and Walmart across the street
right across,
from each out there. Other fact that I mentioned months ago was Topgolf is coming to Viera, which is
that's pretty
massive. And it's 228 jobs.
Right. So
like, not only is it something fun for the family to do, it's more jobs for our area, which is incredible. Fact, Dave & Buster's applied for a sign, so we potential for a Dave & Buster's to be.
I haven't heard that one.
Yeah,
that's cool.
I
like Dave & Buster's.
When we're looking at things to do, right? It's one more. Fact, they're doing a food truck park across from Urban Prime. So it's a lakefront food truck park with some permanent bars and stations. So they're going to have pop-ups for artists to come in, new food trucks to come in. That's being leveled and cleared right now.
Is that I've heard a rumor of an amphitheater. Is that
they're talking about a stage for concerts in addition to that. So
that would be cool.
The amphitheater, I had heard about it. It's still kind of rumor.
Okay, fair enough. We're trying to, separate the fact from fiction.
But
here.
With the food truck park, they did mention stage for some concerts to happen. Okay. So some things that may be the medium they've decided on. Everything else would be 100% rumored, and they're very tight-lipped about what, where, when. Supposedly, there's a new Publix, another Publix.
Because there's like 3 or 4 already, right?
You have 1, 2 in West Viera, but then you have the one in Suntree, the one just north in Rock. Yeah, we have a lot of Publix.
A lot of Publix. Publix is great. I love Publix, but I like Trader Joe's. I like Fresh Market. You can't go to just one grocery store
You've got Sprouts that just opened right there off Wickham Road. Mm-hmm. That's 5 minutes away too. So
a lot going on.
Yeah.
So someone that's watching this saying, I'm thinking about moving to Viera. What advice, like final advice or words about Viera would you give them as a resident?
As a resident, do your homework. Do lots of homework. There's so many different communities. There's so many options on new construction or resale. I think, I put a lot of content out about the communities. There's several.
We're gonna have a link to that down below your content.
Okay. Awesome.
If you're looking for an expert in Viera, we'll put a link down to Jeremy and his content down below.
New video every week. Every week, new market update every month.
Yeah.
But there's a few of us that do a lot of content. Mm-hmm. I think it's a great way to learn about the area. So do your research and really dive into it and ask questions, because the neighborhoods all do have their own flavor, and it's not a great fit for everybody.
Sure.
So, I work with a lot of out-of-state people, and I say, come immerse yourself in it and make sure it's the right fit. Because I always hate for people, this is a huge purchase, right? Like anytime you're buying a house, like this isn't something not like a car. If you decide you don't like it, you just trade it in the next week. This is a much more immovable thing. So I always like to make sure people are really comfortable with that decision.
Awesome. Yeah, Viera is a great place. There's something for almost everyone looking to buy a house. There's a lot of different ranges, lots of amenities. And if you want to go check it out, there's hotels in Viera even now.
Yeah,
so they
and
can
more.
Stay right there.
There's 2 more coming, like almost wrapping up.
But they keep a nice community feel. With all this going on, they still keep a nice community feel.
I found, I've shot 30 or 40 communities in West Viera right now, and it is amazing when you get back in some of them how far away you feel from all that.
The hustle and bustle.
Yeah, it's
and
incredible.
The hustle and bustle is relative too.
It is. You get. I had somebody in from DC area, Virginia last week, and they were like, "This is amazing. This is amazing." Golf carts everywhere. Right. So you're never more than 5-7 minute golf cart
Yeah,
right away
you
from
look
me.
at the high school, there's more golf carts parked at the high school than there is
Cars.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So cool.
The pickup line for school every day is like way more golf carts.
Well, cool. This is some great info. I really appreciate you being on. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, put them down below. If you want contact information for Jeremy, he's a great wealth of knowledge for Viera. We're going to put that down below as well.
Awesome.
So with that, thanks, Jeremy. Great to see
Thanks
you,
for
bud.
having me, man. I appreciate it.
And we'll see you next time.